The First World War began on the 28th of July 1914 and lasted until the 11th of November 1918. Thousands of young men fought and died in the bloody and gruesome battlefields all over the world. In Islington, many thousands of families lost a husband, father or brother in the conflict. Even those who didn't lose a loved one still had to face the frightening challenge of life on the home front. The human cost of war was unimaginable. More than 16 million men, women and children died, including almost 1 million men from Britain and her empire. So far we know over 9,000 men and women connected to Finsbury and Islington who died in the First World War. To commemorate them, Islington Museum, with funding from Heritage Lottery, has created a new resource, The Streets They Left Behind. This map resource shows the individuals' last known addresses alongside any information we know about them. Here are just a few of the stories we have discovered in our research, highlighting the tragic personal experience of war.
Today I'm going to sign up to serve my country. I feel excited. I'm only 18, but I'm getting to travel to France, and I'm sure I'll be back in time for Christmas. I'll be a hero.
The reality of war was very different from this heroic dream. The war wasn't over by Christmas 1914, and many thousands of the young men who set out never returned home. In Islington, thousands of young men signed up to fight, very few returned alive. Move around the map and click on the poppies to find out more about these individuals and remember their sacrifice.
My son Victor was an army sergeant. He led many troops over the top of the trenches into battle at the Somme in France. But during one battle, Victor went missing. I wrote so many letters to find out where he was. I hoped that he had been captured by the Germans or was laying injured in some hospital. I received a letter saying missing, presumed dead, but I remained hopeful. My boy was brave, and there must have been some mistake. But one rainy Wednesday morning, the doorbell rang and the postman handed me a telegram. I opened it hoping for good news, but it read, "Victor Hember died, bravely serving his country at the Battle of the Somme."
Many people from Islington died in the horrific Battle of the Somme. Victor was just one of these. Read which battle each man died in by clicking on the poppies on the Streets They Left Behind resource.
It was an ordinary day in the factory. Us women were working hard making them shells for our brave soldiers. Suddenly we heard a loud sound overhead that was almost deafening. We all rushed outside to catch sight of a German Gotha plane, but a policeman, Alfred Smith, pushed us all back inside the factory and shut the iron door behind us. He was such a courageous man, saved hundreds of us that day, and gave his own life to protect us.
Londoners did not just die on the battlefields. Islington was bombed several times during World War I. Many men, women and children lost their lives in these raids. Click on the poppies on the Streets They Left Behind resource to try and find the civilians who lost their lives in the bombing raids.
My darling husband signed up to fight for our country, leaving me and the little ones at home in Islington. It was horrible to say goodbye, but we were told that our country needed all its fit young men to join up and fight. We thought of him every day and prayed he would return home to us again soon. I never expected to receive that telegram. And even after the war ended, pain lingered on in our hearts, even as we watched people waving victory flags in the streets.
We currently know of thousands of men connected to Islington who died during the First World War. Many of these men left behind wives and children with nothing but a widow's pension to help them survive. Captain Frederick Parslow served in World War I on a cargo ship on the Atlantic. It transported horses and supplies to the soldiers on the front lines. One afternoon, as he looked out onto the calm seas, he noticed a U-boat emerge from the water. He ran to the bridge ordering an SOS to be sent. Unable to escape the U-boat, Parslow ordered his crew to move to the lifeboats on the other side of the ship. The crew escaped under cover, but Parslow remained with his ship to watch the U-boat. It fired a direct shot at the bridge, killing Parslow and 30 horses. Because of his early signalling, an English destroyer arrived in time to drive off the U-boat, and the cargo ship remained afloat. After the war ended, Parslow was awarded the Victoria Cross for his seamanship and for sacrificing his own life to save his crew and cargo. He was the oldest man to be awarded this honour in the First World War. One of the people who recommended that Parslow be awarded the Victoria Cross was the German captain of the U-boat, who remarked that Parslow's actions were the bravest thing he'd ever seen. During the war I was badly hurt. I'd been placed onto a hospital ship to recuperate. A kind stewardess named Clara looked after me and gave me my tea. I remember hearing the warning bell and shouts that a U-boat was firing at us. It was against the international law to fire at a hospital ship. We couldn't believe what was happening. Clara carried us wounded men into the lifeboats and we evacuated the ship. But the Germans knew they'd violated the law. They seemed determined to destroy all evidence of their mistake. They continued to fire at us until there was nothing left. Women were not allowed to fight on the front lines during World War I. Clara is currently the only woman we are aware of from Islington who died in active service. At Tower Hill is a memorial to those men and women of the Merchant Navy and fishing fleets who died in World War I and have no known grave. Clara's name is among those remembered. The Streets They Left Behind is an online resource created to help communities in Finsbury and Islington remember the thousands from our borough who sacrificed their lives during World War I. It illustrates the human cost of the conflict, sharing the stories of those who lived on the same streets we walk today and remembering their lives, stopped short by war.